Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going on kind of an adventure, really, a fascinating journey into the heart of Indian literature.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, and we have a special guide for this expedition, you could say, the prestigious Sahitya Akademi Award.
Oh, I've heard of that. But refresh my memory. What's that all about?
Sure. Think of it as India's top honor in the literary world, established way back in 1954 by, of course, India's National Academy of Letters.
Okay, that rings a bell.
Right. It celebrates truly exceptional books. And here's the kicker. Across 24 Indian languages.
Wow. 24. That's incredible.
It is. It covers the 22 listed in the Constitution, of course, plus English and Rajasthani.
That's a testament to the linguistic diversity of India, isn't it?
Absolutely. And every year, this award shines a spotlight on literary excellence, with, of course, a plaque and a cash prize of one too shabby.
Not too shabby. Okay, I'm getting the picture. But for this deep dive, what's our focus?
Well, we're taking a cue from Jasvant Rathod, and we're looking at some of the, as they say, most popular Indian writers who've received this award.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing. We don't want to just list names. We want to go deeper.
I like where this is going.
Right. So we'll explore what makes their award-winning work so captivating, the ripple effects they've had, and why their writing still speaks to readers today. Why does it matter?
I see. So beyond just the award itself, we're looking at their lasting impact on Indian literature, culture, and even society, right?
Exactly.
Quickly.
And with the range of backgrounds these writers come from and the languages they use, oh man, this is going to be a rich discussion.
I'm ready to dive in.
Perfect. So let's start with a writer I bet many of you know, R.K. Narayan. Won the Sahitya Akademi Award back in 1958 for his novel The Guide.
Ah, a classic.
For those who haven't read it, could you set the scene for us a bit?
Sure. The Guide is set in this charming fictional town, Malgudi, Narayan's creation. And we meet Raju. Starts as a simple tour guide. But life throws him a curveball, and, well, he ends up as a spiritual leader.
That's quite a journey.
It is. And the novel explores some deep themes. Redemption, the quest for self-discovery, all that. But woven in with Narayan's trademark humor. And these keen observations of everyday life in India.
I was struck by something while reading up on him. It seems he really connected with readers all over the world.
That's true. His work transcended borders.
And our source mentioned how his writing style, seemingly simple, actually highlighted the universal appeal of ordinary Indian life.
Right. For a long time, the perception was maybe indie literature in English was for a niche audience. But Narayan changed the game.
How so?
Well, his genius is in how he creates these nuanced characters in stories that, on the surface, seem straightforward. Take Raju in The Guide. His transformation isn't this, sudden aha moment.
More like a gradual shift.
Exactly. It's almost comical how he slides into this spiritual leader role. And that reflects something very human, right? How we adapt to the roles we're given, even if they're unexpected.
I see.
And that, combined with the backdrop of Malgudi, this vivid little town, it allowed readers, even from very different cultures, to connect. They saw themselves in these shared human experiences. And that really, really opened the door for other Indian writers to tell their local stories, but on a global stage.
That's a fantastic legacy. Okay, let's switch gears a bit now to a very different kind of voice. Amrita Pritam. She won the award in 1956 for Sunehe, her poetry collection in Punjabi.
So, yeah, that means messages, right?
That's it. And our source highlights how this collection grapples with some heavy themes: love, loss, the pain of India's partition. And specifically, it mentions this incredibly moving poem, Aji Arhan Wari Shanu. Do you know that one?
Of course. It translates to, Today I Invoke Wari Shah. Right. It's a poem deeply rooted in historical trauma. Pritam directly addresses Wari Shah, the 18th century Sufi poet, whose epic Hariranja is like a cornerstone of Punjabi literature.
Okay.
And she's writing in the aftermath of the partition, lamenting the violence, the bloodshed, the suffering, especially of women. It's this powerful outcry, this raw expression of the pain that lingered from that time. And Sunehe as a whole carries that same weight, exploring those wounds, both personal and collective, inflicted by the partition.
It sounds incredibly powerful, and our source points out that Pritam was really instrumental in giving women a stronger voice in Punjabi literature.
Absolutely.
How did she achieve that, and why was it so significant, you think?
Well, what's striking about Pritam's writing is her fearlessness. She tackled themes and emotions that were often, hushed up or considered too private for women to express back then.
So she broke those barriers.
She did. She wrote openly about love, longing, heartbreak, the restrictions imposed by society, alongside these huge historical events. And by doing that, by giving voice to these lived experiences from a woman's perspective, she not only empowered other women writers who came after her, but also gave readers, men and women, a deeper understanding of these struggles. It built empathy. It validated experiences that had been pushed aside. She gave a platform to the marginalized.
Now let's talk about Mahasweta Devi. She won the award in 1979 for her Bengali novel Aranyar Adhikar, meaning the rights of the forest. This novel focuses on the life and struggles of Birsa Munda, the tribal freedom fighter. What can you tell us about the world she depicts?
Aranyar Adhikar is a powerful historical novel. It sheds light on a part of history that's often overlooked, the resistance of tribal communities in India.
In their fight to protect their land?
Exactly. It portrays their struggles to hold on to their traditional rights over their ancestral forests and lands, in the face of exploitation and injustice. Birsa Munda, in the novel, becomes a symbol of resistance against both colonial rule and those oppressive feudal systems.
So it's a story about fighting for what's rightfully theirs.
It is. And for context, it's important to remember how colonial forest laws impacted them. Those laws really restricted their access to resources they'd relied on for generations.
Our source emphasizes how Mahasweta Devi used her writing as a tool in the fight for tribal rights. Can you elaborate on that? How did her work contribute to that cause?
You see, Mahasweta Devi wasn't just a writer. She was a true activist. She spent a lot of time with tribal communities, really got to know their lives, their struggles, their perspectives, and all of that became fuel for her powerful storytelling.
So she brought their stories to a wider audience.
Exactly. By incorporating those narratives into mainstream literature, she raised awareness about their problems. Her work served as this, wake-up call. It encouraged readers, even policymakers, to confront these issues of inequality and injustice.
That's it.
And that led to a greater sense of urgency around social change. She really embodied how literature can be this force for good, for social justice.
Let's move on to a beloved Hindi poet, Harivansh Rai Bachchan, awarded in 1969 for Du Chatnan, or in English, Two Rocks. This collection is described as exploring life, death, all those big human emotions, all expressed through this beautiful language. What makes it so special?
Du Chatnan showcases Bachchan's mastery over Hindi and his deep understanding of what it means to be human. The poems in this collection deal with universal themes. They resonate with people across generations.
Like what?
Well, he grapples with the fleeting nature of life, the fact that death comes for us all, and the entire spectrum of human emotions. Joy, love, sorrow, despair. All expressed with remarkable clarity and power.
You can really feel it.
Yes. His poetry touches your heart. But it also makes you think, really contemplate life's big questions.
I see. Our source mentions that Bachchan could make readers ponder these big questions, using simple yet very powerful words, and that he remains a truly loved figure in Hindi literature. Why do you think he has that enduring appeal?
I think it's because he connects with readers on this very basic level. He talks about things we all grapple with, the search for meaning, accepting that we'll die, the messiness of relationships. But he doesn't use fancy academic language. It's direct. And yet it carries this weight, this emotional and philosophical depth.
So it's accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And that, combined with the universal nature of his themes, has made his poetry resonate with a wide audience. And it's stayed relevant over time. It hasn't faded.
All right, let's shift our focus now to the Tamil writer, Jayakanthan. He won the award in 1996 for Sila Narangalil Sila Manathargal, meaning some people in sometimes. This novel gives us a glimpse into urban life in Tamil Nadu. It tells authentic stories of everyday people dealing with social issues. What kind of picture does he paint?
It's a very realistic portrayal of urban life in Tamil Nadu. Jayakantha doesn't shy away from the harsh realities. Poverty, inequality, caste discrimination, social prejudices, all of that.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
No. His writing is rooted in social realism. His goal was to reflect life as it truly is for many.
Our source mentions how his work exposed readers in Tamil Nadu to those often uncomfortable truths about their own society, and that it sparked important discussions. How did his realistic style contribute to that impact?
Jayakanthan's strength was his commitment to portraying reality, even when it was tough to swallow. By telling these raw and authentic stories of ordinary people, he forced readers to confront the problems within their own society. It was like holding up a mirror.
Making them look at themselves.
Exactly. And that sparked dialogue, critical thinking. It pushed people to acknowledge those issues and hopefully do something about them. This focus on social realism was huge. It influenced so many Tamil writers who came after him, encouraging them to tackle similar themes.
Now on to our next writer. Sunil Gangopadhyay won the award in 1985 for Se Same, which translates to Those Days. This is a historical novel set in 19th century Bengal. It paints a rich picture of the culture and the changes happening then. Why is that historical setting so compelling in his story?
Sesame is truly immersive. Gangopadi takes you back to 19th century Bengal, a time of massive transformation, the Bengal Renaissance, early seeds of Indian nationalism, all of that. And he weaves these carefully researched historical details with fictional characters and plots.
So he blends fact and fiction.
He does it masterfully. It gives readers this vivid, engaging window into a pivotal era. But it's not just a dry history lesson. It's a story filled with fascinating characters navigating a world in flux.
Our source mentions how his work helped readers connect with their past, and how he managed to blend historical accuracy with compelling storytelling. Why is that approach so effective when it comes to engaging readers with history?
Gangopadhyay could make history come alive. By grounding historical events and social shifts in the personal lives of his characters, he made the past feel real and relatable to modern readers.
So it's not just dates and facts.
No, it becomes emotional. You connect on a human level. And that deeper understanding leads to a greater appreciation for their cultural heritage. His success in this genre really inspired modern Bengali writers. They started exploring their history through these captivating narratives.
Now finally, let's talk about M.T. Vasudevan Nair, awarded in 1970 for his Malayalam novel Kalam, meaning time. This novel explores how time shapes individuals and society as a whole. It intertwines personal stories with those big historical events. What are the core themes at play here?
Kalam is a deeply thoughtful novel. It's about the constant flow of time and how it affects our relationships, our destinies, and even society itself. Nair cleverly weaves the personal journeys of his characters with the larger historical and social transformations happening in Kerala.
A lot going on there.
It is. It makes you think about your own place in time and how the past continues to shape our present.
Our source highlights how he encourages readers to reflect on life and change through his storytelling, and that he's great at connecting personal experiences with the bigger currents of history. It also mentions his influence on Malayalam cinema through film adaptations. How significant has that been?
Huge. Nair's ability to explore these universal themes of time and change, but through the lens of Kerala's culture and history, it really resonates with people. His characters feel real, his writing is evocative, and it prompts readers to grapple with big questions like, what is our purpose? What does it mean to exist?
Those are the big ones, for sure.
They are. And then you have the film adaptations, which have introduced his work to a much wider audience. So his stories, his insights into the human condition, they've reached a whole new level of cultural influence.
So as we look back at these 7 incredible writers, all honored with the Sahitya Akademi Award, what overall insights can we glean about their impact on Indian literature and society?
It's their incredible range, their diversity that stands out. R.K. Narayan introduced India to the world. Amrita Pritam gave a voice to those who'd been silenced, women, those affected by partition. Mahasweta Devi championed tribal rights through her writing. Harivansh Rai Bachchan's poetry touched millions with its simple yet profound reflections. Jayakanthan bravely confronted social inequalities in Tamil Nadu. Sunil Gangopadhyay brought Bengal's history to life, and M.T. Vasudevan Nair explored the power of time itself.
That's a phenomenal legacy. Our source also emphasizes that these writers, for students of Indian literature, are prime examples of how literature can do more than just reflect life. It can challenge norms and spark real change.
Absolutely. Their work continues to engage readers generation after generation. They offer valuable insights into India, its people, its complexities, and they show the power of storytelling to teach us, to make us think, to make us feel empathy.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the works of some of India's most celebrated writers. Our goal was to understand the essence of their award-winning contributions and their lasting relevance.
And it's clear that despite their different backgrounds, the different languages they used, the different themes they explored, there's a common thread. They were all committed to telling stories that mattered, stories that illuminated the human experience within the rich and complex tapestry of India.
It really makes makes you appreciate the richness and depth of Indian literature. Now, for you, our listener, think about this. How do those themes explored by these Sahitya Akademi Award winners, themes like individual struggle, the pursuit of social justice, the impact of history, the passage of time, how do those continue to resonate in India today and in our increasingly interconnected world? Perhaps this deep dive has piqued your interest in exploring the works of one of these authors. If so, we strongly encourage you to do just that.